Dane, Ricochet, Velveteen Dream, Lars Sullivan, and EC3 all were in this match. A lot of bumps. There was a Death Valley driver by Velveteen Dream to Ricochet, who Ricochet obviously making his debut, as well as EC3. And what star-making performances. They were already stars elsewhere, and now they're making their name here in the WWE, and specifically in NXT. Phenomenal match. We could really just talk about it the entire show, but since we do have so much to get through, we'll just say that Adam Cole picked up the victory after pushing off Ricochet from one of the ladders. Again, mentioned a number of spots, a great opening to an incredible TakeOver New Orleans show. Adam Cole, representing the Undisputed Era, won the title. Following that, the Women's Championship was defended by Ember Moon, taking on Shayna Baszler in what was a well-performed match. This was, without a doubt, Shayna Baszler's probably best performance of her. We'll just say that Adam Cole picked up the victory after pushing off Ricochet from one of the ladders. Again, mentioned a number of spots, a great opening to an incredible TakeOver New Orleans show. Adam Cole, representing the Undisputed Era, won the title. Following that, the Women's Championship was defended by Ember Moon, taking on Shayna Baszler in what was a well-performed match. This was, without a doubt, Shayna Baszler's probably best performance of her young career as a professional wrestler. For the first time, we got to see Baszler on the defense, and she really struggled. She had a struggle in this match with the shoulder injury, and she was able to overcome that as the heel taking on Moon. Baszler ended up winning the NXT Women's Championship, and it was an incredible bout. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already. Then the NXT Championship were on the line as the Undisputed Era. Adam Cole had to pull double duty due to Bobby Fish being injured. He teamed up with Kyle O'Reilly to take on the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor, to take on the makeshift tag team of Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne. This was a fast-paced match from the start. Adam Cole was thrown onto a table by the Authors of Pain early on into the match, so he was taken out for a majority of this contest. However, thanks to a heel turn by Roderick Strong, one of a few heel turns this weekend, Roderick Strong turned on Pete Dunne, hit his finishing move, the End of Heartache, on him to help the Undisputed Era capture and retain those tag team titles. Roderick Strong would then officially declare himself one of the members of the Undisputed Era, and at the end of this match, all four members, Bobby Fish included, posed with the Dusty Rhodes Cup, which that was another one that they were competing for, the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Cup. So they not only walked out with those tag team titles, they walked away with the cup, and it's a phenomenal performance by Adam Cole throughout the night. He was definitely the MVP of this event. Then we had the NXT Championship match between Aleister Black and Andrade Cien Almas. Back and forth, just awesome spots. We got to see Zelina Vega interfere in this match about 5 different occasions. Normally she interferes in once or twice, and it came back to bite her. And eventually we got to see a new NXT champion crowned in Aleister Black. It was a year ago, where he ended up debuting against Andrade Cien Almas, so it really came full circle for those two competitors. Aleister Black is the new NXT champion. And to close out the NXT TakeOver show, it was Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in what was probably one of the best rivalries in NXT history, and it was a 10-month build, and obviously Ciampa was injured for majority of it, but that storyline was still kind of taking place over social media and Twitter specifically, and it was an incredible build to an incredible and brutal match. Several spots were used. I mean, we got to see Ciampa using the crutch that he had. We got to see him use his own knee brace, which came to the the conclusion of the match, where Gargano used Ciampa's own knee brace against him to make him submit, and Johnny Gargano has been reinstated to NXT. Of course, that was one of the stipulation in that match, and it was a fantastic takeover. If you have not seen it, be sure to check that out. But now, moving on to the big show, the show of the Immortals, WrestleMania, and it was packed with over 77,000, I believe, people. But phenomenal contest in New Orleans, obviously the Silver Dome, if I'm not mistaken.
That was quite the show.
Yeah, it was quite the show. It opened up with the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Now we predicted. Oh, we didn't even go through predictions with NXT. We have comments already in our.
Saying Mark.
What happened?
We said Mark.
Oh yeah, definitely. But you predicted Johnny Gargano was going to lose on Sunday, as well as on Saturday, excuse me. And you said he was going to win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. That was not the case. I predicted it was going to be Woken Matt Hardy, and it was, thanks to help with Bray Wyatt. Did you expect Bray to come back in this instance?
Oh man, Bray, that was definitely the perfect place.
Bray and him are now a tag team, an official tag team, and Matt Hardy walked away with that trophy, which features obviously the 8th wonder of the world, Andre the Giant. Then we got to see a Cruiserweight Championship match between Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. These guys needed another 5 or 10 minutes.
This is our jobbers and breaking kayfabe.
Oh, absolutely. We having someone commenting, going meta on us over here. Yes, but Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali needed another 10 minutes or something, because I feel like they just scratched the surface on what they could really do. Ultimately, it was Cedric Alexander finally capturing that Cruiserweight Championship and getting that WrestleMania moment in front of a packed crowd. The crowd did arrive early for that match, and it's really cool to see that they gave him that appreciation. Then, for the first time ever, the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal between a number of competitors, and we got to see a number of NXT superstars involved, including Peyton Royce. We got to see Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane, who was the Mae Young Classic winner.
They're asking, do you know Lenny Poffo?
Yes, he's the brother of Macho Man Randy Savage. So, but yeah, that WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal was a pretty good match. It was unexpected. You predicted, who did you predict? You predicted Sonya Deville, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I predicted Becky Lynch. It ended up being Sasha and Bayley, who we thought were the final two. Bayley eliminated Sasha, and then Naomi came from out of nowhere and took the victory by eliminating Bayley. Naomi is the inaugural winner of the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. And that was all in the kickoff show. And so we move on to the Intercontinental Championship triple threat match between The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. They all kind of got some new and unique entrances. Seth Rollins came out, I believe, in what was a Game of Thrones type outfit and entrance. And then we got to see The Miz come out in, his Hollywood look. And throughout the show, there were a bunch of 3D images that were displayed on the stage, and I thought that was really interesting to see. And then we got to see Finn Balor come out representing the Balor Club, and he came out to a sea of LGBTQ community members, which was really fun. And he got to do his epic entrance for the first time at WrestleMania. This was his first WrestleMania, and it was a phenomenal opening contest. I believe it was 12 to 15 minutes long. Could have gone longer, but at the end of the day, it was a fun opener. And we got to see Seth Rollins use that stomp to finish off The Miz and win the Intercontinental Championship for the very first time. Following that, the SmackDown Women's Championship match, Charlotte versus the undefeated Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka.
Oh, what a disappointment.
This was the match of the night for me, I think, in terms of wrestling wise.
The outcome, though.
The outcome was unexpected. Apparently, New Orleans is where streaks go to die, because that's the same venue where the Undertaker lost at WrestleMania for the first time. And now Asuka is no longer undefeated. She lost to Charlotte, and
I mean, I understand, yeah, Charlotte is gifted and she's one of the most talented female athletes in professional wrestling, but Asuka's undefeated streak, I mean, I feel like they could have still done a lot more with the winning streak. I mean, she hasn't had that long of time on the main roster, and to just end it abruptly when she had that momentum being the first Rumble winner for women.
absolutely, I think it was too soon, but it was the right stage in terms of, if you're gonna have her lose that undefeated streak, it needed to be at WrestleMania or something of that caliber. I agree, she should have won the title, but she was very humble about it at the end. She went on the microphone and actually stated Charlotte was ready for Asuka, and they embraced in a hug. She congratulated her, and it was a fun moment. Something I forgot to mention.
Haircut, Shawn Michaels.
Well, there was that. That's big, definitely. But before the show and the kickoff show, we have an audience now.
Oh, how cool is that? And
Yeah,
we're on video, so
yeah, we're on video.
look how cool this is. We have
Absolutely.
people watching. It's a live professional wrestling talk show, all news.
Absolutely, and I think the cool thing about it was John Cena said he was going to be in the crowd as a fan, and he was. And the kickoff show, he had jeans and had a beer in his hand. And up until that Asuka match, a referee came to his seat and told him Undertaker was here. John Cena then ran up the stage, which became a meme throughout the weekend. Ridiculous meme. He ran up the stage sprinting, I guess, to go get ready for his opponent. So that was really, really fun to see throughout the night. Next up, we got the United States title match. Fatal 4-Way. It was an okay match. Nothing, I think, spectacular stood out. But we were both wrong on predicting this one.
Wow.
I think we both said Robbie Roode was going to win, correct?
Yeah. And it should have happened. I don't understand all this, man.
Vince McMahon really likes Jinder Mahal, I guess, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
weird. Jinder Mahal is now the United States champion.
But I mean,
I don't
it
know.
always makes for a great momentum for a heel. For those of you who aren't familiar with the term heel,
Yeah, we mentioned it. Heel is a bad guy, pretty much, to put it in short terms. And so, yeah, it was I kind of would have predicted Jinder was going to win, but at the same time I thought they're not going to go that route. But then again, I thought Finn Balor was going to win. You and I both thought that was going to happen. Seth
Yeah.
Rollins ended up being a Grand Slam champion and winning. We both thought Asuka was going to win. Charlotte beat her streak. So WrestleMania was full of unpredictable victories and results. So it was crazy. And now we're moving on to the next match. I'm trying to get it loaded up here.
how about, I think another thing that people, love about WrestleMania is, they go all out with their entrances.
Yeah, we mentioned, and speaking of entrance, that's a perfect transition to the next match. Triple H.
Oh, wow.
Triple H and Stephanie McMahon came out to a motorcycle kind of gang almost. They came out all in kind of similar to Triple H's last entrance last year, where he came down the motorcycle. This time he had a number of females on kind of leading him and Stephanie, because Stephanie rode her own motorcycle as well, and they came down the ramp. And then we got to see the return of Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. where he got his Pyro back. It was nice to see Pyro back for at least one night. We definitely missed that. And then we got to see Ronda Rousey come out paying homage to one of her idols, Roddy Piper. She came out in kind of that kilt, as well as wearing his jacket.
That's pretty cool, knowing,
Mm-hmm.
I know lots of people know Ronda Rousey from, MMA, but the idea that, she idolized Roddy Piper when he was alive and actually asked, for his blessing to use the nickname.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a lifelong dream of hers to kind of be involved in the WWE in some capacity, and it's really cool to see her now.
I like how we have, such interactive audiences, and they know all the puns and stuff and catchphrases that certain wrestlers are using. One of the audience members says they'll take us to Suplex City. Since they're for the titles and
I have
stuff.
a bit of a rant on that. We'll get to at the end of the show. We'll get to at the end of this WrestleMania section of it. But what a fun match! I think this match should have been the main event. Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey gave one of the best debut performances. Not just wrestling. She was an okay wrestler. She definitely still needs to learn a lot more. But her performance on it.
It's very interesting though. There's this one. You know how there's a lot of fan of accounts on Instagram, but there's this one of Triple H just looking super helpless in a corner, getting punched by Ronda.
That was so good. He was selling. He was put in an arm bar at one point by her. Ronda Rousey, the crowd really loved her, and that's good to see because it could have gone the other way where the crowd did not want to accept her. But after seeing this performance, the crowd is really behind her, and it's really cool to see that a star has been made. She was already a star before now, and now she's an official WWE superstar, so that's really cool. I'm trying to remember another spot. She did a Hurricane Rana on Triple H.
What's very interesting though, and I know Vince is a mastermind and looking at different things like the production. He's always in a booth or something, and he's watching through the monitors and he's feeding information and stuff. But
in Gorilla, right.
I heard something pretty interesting about instructions specifically for Asuka's match, that she was not allowed to use the armbar because they wanted Ronda to now be known by it.
Well, that makes sense. You don't want too many people using that. Who else?
And that spot she used, though, when Charlotte was jumping off from the top rope, she did manage to do a crossface, though.
Right, she did the triangle. I believe it was a triangle hold.
Yeah, that
or
was
some type of.
interesting.
Yeah, no, that was a really good spot. I'm glad you brought that up. Going back to that Asuka match. But another good spot, we got, as I mentioned, Ronda hit a few good moves on Stephanie and Triple H. At one point, Triple H and Stephanie were both in the ankle lock and the arm bar. But ultimately, it was, we got to see a little bit of interaction between intergender, I guess. Triple H, pulled Rousey out of the ring at one point and kind of dropped her on the floor. He was attempting a pedigree on her a few times. It was really cool to see that, and obviously Rousey got in a lot of offense on Triple H, as we mentioned. Rousey ended up making Stephanie tap out. We got to see Dana White in the audience react as soon as the bell rang. So obviously I guess he's still the owner of UFC, correct?
Yeah, he's still a big decision maker.
He's not the official owner because he sold it, correct? But he's still he's still in charge, pretty much. But yeah, he was there with sporting a Ronda Rousey T-shirt, and it was a cool moment. The crowd really loved it, and so that was definitely one of the highlights of the show. Next up, triple threat tag team match for the SmackDown Live tag team titles. This was probably the shortest match on the main card.
Wow.
Probably up there. It's up there. The New Day got an interesting entrance. We got to see, obviously, as I mentioned, the 3D visuals, the camera work that was done, and then we got to see some short stacks, to say the least. We got to see little people in pancake outfits throwing pancakes on the way down to the ring.
I guess we have an audience member that knew before even the Attitude Era, Hogan's era, because he's all Hillbilly Jim. He says, mention the Shockmaster.
That's really cool. Thank you for tuning in. We forgot to mention, you could go give us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/Beyond the Ropes, where you'll find some videos we're recording right now, and then we are currently on Periscope, correct?
Yes.
And they can find us.
The digital location is on, and it's live pro wrestling talk show. Let's talk WrestleMania.
Awesome. And then, of course, You Now as well. And where are we on You Now Talk Show?
It's just the hashtag ask questions. And of course, we are live through our video version. And yes, you don't have to adjust your screen. It is black and white.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the Bludgeon Brothers came up with a victory, dominating a majority of the match. I predicted that. You predicted the Usos.
Yeah, they needed their moment. I was very surprised at this. I mean,
I
the
wasn't.
Usos, for quite some time, they've only been like, what, always the kickoff show sometimes?
Yeah, every WrestleMania they've been in the kickoff show.
And they finally get on the card and they lose.
Yeah, and it was a relatively fast match. A lot of offense by the Bludgeon Brothers. But I kind of predicted that would happen. I didn't expect, again, Seth or Charlotte to win. And so and also Jinder, excuse me. So that's why I was kind of thought, well, the titles are definitely changing hands in the tag team division. So that was a short but sweet match. They could have used a lot more time. I think they could have really stolen the show with that. So, moving on. The next match, John Cena came out.
Oh, thank goodness the outcome. Thank goodness, because he should not be fed to the Undertaker.
No, he was fed to the Undertaker should not be fed to him.
Undertaker should not be fed to
But,
Cena because Cena's already got enough accolades.
Well, before that even happened, Cena came out. Then we got to see the same referee that told him Taker was here earlier come out and tell him Taker was not there. And so Cena was angry. As he was leaving, the lights went out. Cena went back to the ring, and it was Elias. And we got to see Elias come out, and he says, "Were you expecting someone else? Well, I am better than that person." And then he kicked Cena out of the ring. Cena went back to the crowd. Elias started playing, and then Cena came in and gave him an AA. So unfortunately for Elias, that was his WrestleMania moment. And as Cena was about to leave the ring, his music hit. And then halfway up the ramp, I should say, the lights went out once again, and we got to hear the famous Undertaker gong. And
how fun would it have been if we would have seen the Hornswoggle Taker again?
Oh my, the fake Taker? Yeah. That would have been hilarious. But yeah, it took about 10 minutes for Taker to get actually in the ring and for the match to start. The entrance was longer than the match. This was the definition of a squash match, and I loved it.
I know, I like the memes of saying, Cena finally reduced to jobber.
Yeah, so essentially I could pretty much say every offensive move in this match because that's how short it was. I started out with Undertaker hitting a boot to Cena, then a rapid punches, then threw him across the ropes for a diving clothesline. Then we just got to see Snake Eyes with the boot, and Taker was calling for a chokeslam. Cena countered with that body slam he does. He was setting up for the 5-knuckle shuffle. As he ran, Taker sat up and gave Cena that look. Cena, obviously in shock, stopped in his tracks, and then ran into a chokeslam by Taker. Taker would then pose as he was preparing for the Tombstone Piledriver, and then he hit it, and 1, 2, 3, the match was over. I don't even know if it was a 5-minute match, but that's what happened, and Undertaker came back and completely dominated, as he should. I mean, we didn't need I know people wanted to see a 5-star match. That's not what you're going to get from Undertaker at this point in his career.
I think it was, in one way, wise that it was just a quick squash because, Undertaker, how old is Undertaker? Because
He's
I think
51.
it's great that he You know, I know he tries to work on conditioning, and the fact that he only wrestles once a year now because he's been such a staple figure in WrestleMania that, you know, you expect him to be there. But the idea that he conserved his energy so that he can be booked in another event this year, it's definitely pretty interesting because, you know, it's been a long time since we've seen the casket match anyways.
Yeah, we're talking about the greatest Royal Rumble, of course, which is taking place in Saudi Arabia. Was it Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting.
And it's a big show. There are 7 title matches, the greatest Royal Rumble, which is 50 superstars, and then we're seeing Undertaker versus Rusev in a casket match. So it's a stacked card. Some of the matches have been announced, and we could get through that a little bit. Let's get through Mania first. Next up was, well, I mentioned The Undertaker, actually, before we move on. He looked a lot better than he did last year. He looked to move a lot better. So he really put in the work. And we could see Taker here for a few more years, honestly, if he just wrestles 1 match a year. Or a couple. I mean, in this case, he will be. So
it sure would be great if Sting had one of those remarkable recoveries like Daniel.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, I think they're both past their prime, but just the storyline aspect of those 2 characters would be amazing. And yeah, it was a good match, a good showing for Taker. And moving on, speaking of Daniel Bryan, he made his return. Next up, it was Shane McMahon came out suffering from diverticulitis and a staph infection and so much over the last few weeks, but he showed up. We got to see Daniel Bryan return with a little bit of an opening package, an opening video of showing the Yes Movement, kind of everyone, you know, those videos, viral videos of the Yes chants throughout the world. And then we got to see Daniel Bryan return. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn attacked their opponents from behind. We're frozen on Periscope, where we have officially been broken on Periscope. But yeah, it was a lot of the match consisted of Zayn and Owens beating up Shane. And so that happened. And then we finally got to see a comeback. Once Shane tagged in Daniel Bryan, obviously Daniel Bryan took a majority of the offense and was able to win with the Yes Lock, making Sami Zayn tap out, officially getting rid of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens from the match, from SmackDown Live. And it was a really good showing, a really good comeback, a feel-good moment for the WWE Universe and Daniel Bryan. So there's really nothing to point out. You know, a typical Daniel Bryan move set, and it was a really good showing. Next up, the Raw Women's Championship match. We got to see Alexa Bliss come down from this giant platform, kind of the goddess, showing why she is the goddess. And then we got to see Nia Jax come out as well, sporting new attire. And this was a good back and forth match. I mean, we got to see Nia Jax dominate right off the bat by taking out Mickie James. She completely annihilated her, and it was incredible to see. Throughout the match, there was some back and forth between Bliss and Jax, and it wasn't totally one-sided. Bliss was working on Jax's knee for a portion of it, but the finish saw Nia Jax hitting a Samoan drop from the second rope, totally eliminating Bliss from the equation and becoming the new Raw Women's Champion. So congratulations to Nia Jax. It was a good quality match. I can't really say anything bad about it. So, you know.
I heard there was an amazing Samoan drop.
Yeah, that second rope Samoan drop was a finish.
Wow.
And so it was very enjoyable, to say the least. Something you don't normally see from Jax or, you know, of that caliber. You know, it's WrestleMania, so you gotta hit it big with those moves. So.
Thank you to everyone who's tuning in live through our various different live streams. Yes, we like to interact with our audience.
All right. So a match that got 20 minutes. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura in a dream match. Before we get into the actual match, let's talk about this amazing entrance by Shinsuke, the guitarist of legendary singer Alice Cooper. Nita Strauss
Awesome.
opened up Shinsuke. Did you see that video? I know you.
I saw the picture and I like that meme. What was it? No, it was Rebby. Rebby even put a little picture of
Rebby?
of Maxwell with the violin and stuff.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that entrance was phenomenal. We got to see a little bit of a more rock style, and then we got to see a bunch of violinists line up on the sides, and then on the other sides, we got to see a bunch of drummers. So they were drumming as well. To Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance, you got some all red gear, red and gold. So that was cool. And then we got to see AJ get some pyro back in his entrance. So that was cool. This 20-minute match should have been better because a lot of it was really they were taking their time with it. There was a lot of hype behind this match because it was a dream match, but it wasn't. I don't know. It felt like they needed more to it, and ultimately, and a great sequence, a great finish was Shinsuke going for that Kinshasa and ran into the Styles Clash. And it only took one Styles Clash for AJ to beat Nakamura, which is a bit disappointing. But, you know, after the match, we got to see Nakamura present Styles with that title. And as he was on his knee, Shinsuke hit a low blow to Styles, turning heel for the very first time in his 2-year WWE career. And it was a surprising moment that no one saw. You could see the reactions of the WWE Universe that were in shock. Then we got to see Nakamura kind of utter some words in Japanese and started, you know, kicking Styles in the head and in the back, and then hit a Kinshasa outside of the ring. And we officially got to see a heel Nakamura, which we got to see more of this past Tuesday on SmackDown, and it was a phenomenal first night as a heel. I think this is going to be good for storytelling. We're going to see a heel Nakamura, and if he keeps up what he did on SmackDown and what he did on WrestleMania, I think it's going to be extremely phenomenal, no pun intended, for Nakamura's career. So, obviously we predicted Nakamura to win. That wasn't the case, but I feel like a heel Nakamura is what's needed to build and carry on the story between Styles and Shinsuke, and it will definitely continue moving forward. So, there was that. And then probably the biggest WrestleMania moment of the night, we got to see a bar come out in kind of a Mardi Gras parade. Then we got to see Braun Strowman come out and totally scare everyone off from that Mardi Gras, and then push that float that was being used for the parade off the stage. And then we got to finally find out who Braun Strowman's partner was. Neither one of us predicted this, but he pretty much said, "My partner is you," and he pointed at the WWE Universe, and he found perhaps the greatest WWE superstar of all time, Nicholas. No, you didn't watch the show. You weren't able to catch it, but this was without a doubt.
I saw a little clip
this was
Instagram that he looks so helpless when he gets tagged in.
It was hilarious. It was a fun WrestleMania moment. There were people that obviously weren't happy because, you know, a 10-year-old was in there, but it's WrestleMania. You're supposed to have fun. It's supposed to be a fun moment. You get a lot of serious moments. I mean, seeing, you know, Shinsuke turn heel, and, you know, you get to see a lot of these different serious moments. It's fun to just have a cool moment that was really for everyone to enjoy. We got to see Nicholas come in, 10 years old in the 4th grade, come in and be Braun Strowman's tag team partner. Obviously, he didn't do anything. And Braun won the match on his own, but it was a fun moment. Nicholas is the youngest WWE champion in history at 10 years old. something we found out was that he's actually the son of referee John Cone, who was the referee of that match. So, fun little fact there if you didn't know. But yeah, what was funny is I think on Snapchat after or something, WWE shot then Braun Strowman and Nicholas going through the back, Nicholas being congratulated, and then going to a photo shoot. So they actually got photos of them with the tag team titles, and that was really fun. And going to the main event now, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. This was one of the worst endings to a WrestleMania, to say the least. Nobody was into this match right off the bat. People were booing, saying this is awful, whatever. You know, it was about a dozen suplexes and 6 or 7 F5s and like 3 spears and like maybe 10 Superman punches. That was the entirety of the match. It was horrible, but unexpectedly, Brock Lesnar retained the Universal title, and he's keeping that title hostage for at least a few more weeks.
I don't understand why the Rumble winner wasn't the main event.
Well, I mean, there was that, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, that was an issue, but it was also, Vince McMahon wants Roman to close the show at every WrestleMania, at least for a few more years. And so, and it was expected that he was going to win that title. And I think that was planned going up until the day of, until Brock Lesnar re-signed, which is still unclear whether he signed a long-term contract or if it's just for another match. So we're going to find that out at the Greatest Royal Rumble if he loses.
Did you hear about the rumor?
Which one?
That Brock was pissed backstage and
oh yeah,
like,
no, that was real. I think that wasn't a rumor. He wasn't happy with the audience reaction. I think it could have been a couple of different things, but he threw that Universal title. However, he's still under contract, so he will be defending it in Saudi Arabia in a cage match against Roman Reigns. So we have that to see. So that was WrestleMania in a nutshell. We obviously did not get into great detail. There's so much to go through. But we have a little bit of time left, so we could talk about Raw and SmackDown. Big shows, Raw after Mania and SmackDown after Mania. It opened up with Stephanie McMahon, kind of trying to get on Ronda Rousey's good side. Didn't work out well for her. She got put in another armbar, so it seems like maybe Stephanie may be written off, or either that or the storyline will continue. So we'll see where that goes. But then we got to see a few call-ups from NXT. The first one being Ember Moon, the former NXT Women's Champion, teamed with the new Raw Women's Champion Nia Jax to take on Alexa Bliss and Mickie James, and we got to see Ember Moon hit the Eclipse and getting the victory for her team. Then we got to see backstage. Unfortunately, Braun Strowman came out to Kurt Angle's office, and said, "You know why I'm here, and we're here to relinquish the tag team titles." He came out with Nicholas, and
I couldn't understand what Nicholas said.
Oh no, I'll tell you right now. But Braun said that unfortunately there was a scheduling conflict. Nicholas is still in the 4th grade, so which is hilarious. And he said, but as soon as then he gave the title, and then Nicholas was very reluctant to give up his title. And he said, once he's done with school, we're coming back for those tag team titles. And Nicholas shouted, and they're going to get these hands, pretty much, which is Braun Strowman's catchphrase. So Nicholas has been written off TV, unfortunately. I posted on Facebook that I want to see him in the Hall of Fame.
We see another audience member. Oh, thank you for the hearts. We have more audience members who are disagreeing with the decision to have Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns as the main event at WrestleMania.
Yeah, definitely. But good something good came out of it. Nicholas now has a Twitter account, so you can follow him. I
Is
believe
it verified yet?
I don't know if it is. I haven't looked at it, but yeah, it's actually him posting, or his family or someone's posting, but of him. So that's really cool. There was Rebby, Matt Hardy's wife, obviously, was tweeting. I think there was a snap backstage at Raw or Mania of Maxwell's having a stare down with Nicholas, which was funny. So they've been teasing a feud there. So we'll see how that goes down the line. Maybe at WrestleMania 60 or something.
We had some words being tossed around. We see Mean Gene. I see Hulk Hogan right now.
Thank you for those comments. Another call-up right after the Ember Moon call-up. We got to see No Way Jose make his debut from NXT, and he had a match and won in like 30 seconds. So it's following kind of that Adam Rose gimmick that we saw a few years ago.
Someone says, if Roman turns heel, would fans like him better?
It had to be a really good heel turn, and it had to be organic. You can't make it forced. Make him into a really bad guy. Go after the crowd favorites and he already gets booed. So, that's the point of being a heel. It's kind of already in between that spectrum, so.
Yeah, I like the idea that fans are thinking about, Heyman betraying Brock.
Yeah, and that did not happen, so I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen with that storyline? We're going to have to see at the Greatest Royal Rumble, I guess. As I mentioned, No Way Jose. So we got to see some returns. Seth Rollins came out to bask in his new title reign. Finn Balor came out, challenged him. He agreed to it. Then The Miz came out with the Miz Taraj and kind of challenged them. That was a fun, nice promo moment. And then we got to see the return of Brother Nero, Jeff Hardy.
Oh, yeah, that was something when they're like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. That happened later on the show, and we'll get to that shortly. But it was cool to see Jeff Hardy kind of stand there side by side with Finn and Seth. What a group of guys right there. But that was really fun. And that ended up being the main event, so that was cool. And then we got to see the debut of the Authors of Pain, and they dominated Heath Slater and Rhino within seconds. And as they were walking up the ramp, they kind of stopped Paul Ellering, their manager, and left them there. So it appears that the Authors of Pain are moving forward on the main roster without the legendary WWE Hall of Famer Paul Ellering, which is bittersweet. But I hear that he does not want to travel. So
yeah,
that was.
Once you hit the main roster, that's it. You got to go from city to city.
He's a lot older, and I think he was good in NXT. He served a purpose, building them up. But it's time for them to kind of branch out on their own. And with that travel schedule, Paul Ellering really he really doesn't need to endure that kind of schedule at his age. So we got to see the Authors of Pain kind of branch off on their own. Another return, we got to see Samoa Joe come out, interrupt a Roman Reigns promo, which wasn't going so well. I think Roman was trying to get sympathy. Didn't work out. It just wasn't the right wording and the right audience. Samoa Joe essentially challenged Roman and will face him at Backlash, which is the first Smackdown and Raw pay-per-view moving forward. So we got to see that. And one last return, it was unexpected during an Elias bit. We got to see Bobby Lashley return, and the crowd really loved it. Bobby Lashley came out and gave Elias a huge suplex, kind of a stalling suplex. He held him up in the air for quite some time. And Bobby Lashley is back, so kind of predicted Bobby Lashley would be returning. There was a lot of rumblings, correct? So.
Oh yeah, that was bound to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in the last few minutes here. So, quickly with SmackDown, before we get out here. The Iconics made their debut, formerly known as the Iconic Duo.
Wow, there's so much Peyton posts everywhere now.
Peyton Royce and Billy Kay, two of my favorite superstars from NXT. Finally glad to see them on the main roster. They took out Charlotte Flair, and left her in the middle of the ring, and then we got to see, for the first time ever, a woman cash in her Money in the Bank contract. Carmella cashed in and ended up winning the SmackDown Women's Champion, defeating Charlotte Flair. So, really good moment there. Forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, Shane McMahon announced that Daniel Bryan was officially going back as a full-time in-ring competitor. So that's really cool to hear. And we got to see Paige be introduced as the new general manager of SmackDown. On Monday Night Raw, she gave her official retirement speech from in-ring competition, obviously due to her neck and back injury. But now she will be on SmackDown as the general manager, so that's really cool to see.
Thank you for the hearts. Ladies and gentlemen who are tuning in to our multiple different live streams, I see hearts coming in from Periscope. I see thumbs up, people joining in on YouNow. Thank you so much, everyone.
Absolutely. And officially moving on from that, we got to see Daniel Bryan's first singles match in over 3 years against the WWE Champion AJ Styles. And it was a good match until it was interrupted by heel Shinsuke. And wow, do I love heel Shinsuke. He came out in a new outfit, still sporting the red and black, but he came out very much like his old character in New Japan as the leader of Chaos, which was, I believe, was a heel character. And he took out Daniel Bryan and took out AJ Styles. He gave AJ 2 low blows and a Kinshasa. And something to mention, during an interview earlier, he gave a kind of a fake sincere apology to AJ, and it was hilarious. And then when Renee Young asked him for a serious answer, I don't know if you heard what he said, but
doesn't speak English.
Yeah, he specifically said it in kind of a thick accent kind of way. Sorry, no speak English. And it was hilarious, but heel Shinsuke is the best. I think this is going to do wonders for his career, and hopefully we'll see him with that WWE title very soon. But that was SmackDown in a nutshell. And next week, it was announced we're going to see the first Superstar shakeup this year. I don't know if we're going to see any more, but it's going to happen. So, you want to make a few predictions on who's going to get traded to the show? Maybe we'll make 5 predictions each.
Well, Jeff Hardy to SmackDown.
Jeff to SmackDown, okay. Who else do you got? I'll say one to SmackDown. I'm saying Seth Rollins to SmackDown.
Seth Rollins, okay.
You've
I'd
taken
like to
that.
see all the club on SmackDown.
So you want to see the club and then Finn too, or just?
Yeah.
Okay, so then 3. I'm saying, oh geez, who else is SmackDown? Oh, Alexa Bliss. I think Alexa's going back to SmackDown. What about to Raw? Who do you see going to Raw?
Bobby.
That's what I was predicting. He lost, so I think he's done with SmackDown for now. Move him away from there. I think Natalia's going to Raw. I think, because she said she wanted Naomi to go to Raw, and then she lost on SmackDown. So I think typically when they lose, because that's what they did last year, the losers of last year's matches before the shakeup ended up going over to the other show. So I think New Day's going back to Raw. Randy could. No, well, he still has gender, but he could eventually go to Raw. I think the New Day's going back to Raw. I think Charlotte could be going to Raw. She'll get her rematch and then could end up on Raw. Especially with the rumors being that they want her to feud with Ronda Rousey next year at WrestleMania. So she would need to be on Raw. I think Asuka to SmackDown, because she's not officially on SmackDown, she's still on Raw. Especially with Ember Moon debuting, so a lot to go over there, but it's been a great week. It's been a fun week, and we only have much more to look forward to next week with all of the returns and the call-ups and the shake-up happening. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Thank you. We have an audience member who said that this show rocks.
Oh, thank you very much. We really appreciate that. And be sure to follow us on Facebook. Give us a like there. Like our page, facebook.com/BeyondTheRopes, where we give our predictions. We post the videos up there and more. Maybe we'll give some more predictions on who's going to be in the shakeup and much more of that. Obviously, the Greatest Royal Rumble is coming up at the end of the month. We'll talk about that. And you follow us on Twitter at EthanNV95. And
You can follow me on Rob Flores Media.
And so, thank you for tuning in. This episode is about to be deleted, and it has been a weekend that has been too sweet.